it's been a few years, maybe what, started doing reviews in 2017, 16, 17, and I think Casino came out, my review for Casino came out around 2017. And it's been a few years since I finally got to the GoodFellas review that somebody asked me to do back in 2017. I just couldn't find the movie. I looked for it, couldn't find it, and then as I kept talking about, I need to watch GoodFellas, I need to watch Casino and Godfather. Y'all saw Godfather, y'all saw my review on that, y'all not gonna like it. Y'all saw my Casino review, some of y'all enjoyed it. And now I'm finally getting to GoodFellas after all these years. So if you guys, Patreon/Ali Zakka, if you guys jump on that Patreon and you guys ask for a review, it's only $2 a month, but you guys ask for a review, you don't have to wait 2 or 3 years for me to finally find the movie because I go out and find it because you're paying for my services. But anyway, neither here or there. Finally got to GoodFellas, the monster movie, the movie that a lot of people freaking love, Martin Scorsese. And I didn't feel the magic that everybody else felt when it came to this movie. There's moments that intrigue me, and there's moments where I'm just like, man, what are we doing here? And on this episode of Movie Breakdowns, movie review, I'm going to review Martin Scorsese's GoodFellas from 1990. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's Movie Breakdowns? The movie review series where we look at new and old movies, give them a grade A through F, plus and minuses do count. And there's a review you want me to do, let me know. Please put in the comment section below, and I'll get to the best I can. Also, please like, subscribe, and comment if you guys love this stuff. I appreciate it. If you dislike it, please give it a dislike. If you watch somebody troll me for no reason. But if you dislike the GoodFellas review, what do you gotta say about yourself? Anyway, do that though, because I appreciate anything counts. I thank you guys so much. I love it. And also, like I mentioned before, Patreon/Ali Zakka. On that Patreon, you get movie reactions, movie reviews, movie thoughts, everything way before it comes out on Facebook and YouTube. Matter of fact, I'm doing this review right now early in August. It might not come out until late August, if not September. But you got Patreon. You're watching this weeks in advance before everybody else. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's review of 1990's Martin Scorsese's GoodFellas by Ray Liotta, or I guess starring Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, and Robert De Niro. And this movie's, 30 years old now, so I'm probably gonna drop some spoilers in it. Now I'm looking over my reviews, I know I'm not doing as much spoilers unless it's a movie that I really need to talk about. But this movie, I'm not going to spoil much, so if it is a spoiler, it's probably something that you wouldn't even think about. Like, wow, you spoiled that? I didn't even know that was a spoiler. But what is this movie about? This movie is about a guy named Henry Hill. This is based off a true story, by the way. Throw that out there. It's based off a true story, but it's about a guy named Henry Hill who wants to grow up to be a mobster. He lives a mob life, and then pretty much his ascent to being a mobster and his mob lifestyle, and to the very end. That's pretty much what this movie's about. It's about his mob life, and that's it. If you gave this a piece of paper and said like, this is what you're gonna do a movie on, you'd be like, oh, okay, so anything exciting happened about this guy? And yes, there's a lot of exciting stuff that happens around Henry Hill in this movie, and a lot of stuff that you're like, okay, he's a mobster, crime, women, money. Alright, sure. Then that's kind of how I felt about it. Now the pieces that really entice you into this movie, that really brings you into this movie, is Robert De Niro, freaking Robert De Niro, who I feel like when he acts, he goes all in no matter what the role is. And there's things in this movie that he does when he's around and he makes little like hints, faces, winces. Like there's a scene in a movie where he goes to a phone booth. Puts up the phone, and before he start talking on the phone, he looks over at Henry Hill, who's Ray Liotta. He looks over to him and he does like a wince, like head nod this way, and smirks, and that's it. And those little things that Robert De Niro does is phenomenal. I love it. Love it. But for the most part, like those little pieces, Joe Pesci and his temper in this movie, where you feel like, oh my gosh, he's going to be the one who brings everything down. And when you see that, you're like, and the things that he's doing, you're like, oh my gosh, you get invested into that. But then all of a sudden, Joe Pesci goes away for like 20 minutes of the movie, and you're just like, all right, so maybe this movie's not about Joe Pesci being the downfall of Henry Hill. Like, those little things that everybody else add in to it, like Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta's narration. That one, I think, is more Martin Scorsese's narration, and his narration beats. I hate once his characters to narrate a movie, because as I was watching this movie, and maybe as Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie Wolf of Wall Street, he was the one who mimicked, I should say, most likely got some inspiration from this movie. Because if you watch Wolf of Wall Street and you watch GoodFellas, listen to the narration of each character. Listen to the narration of Jordan Belfort, listen to the narration of Henry Hill, and they almost sound similar, to the point where you're like, the talking and pacing of the way they talking is like beat for beat for beat. It's eerie, I caught it, but that's something that I thought was kind of unique. But those little things, and also Martin Scorsese directing him, where he has your narrator talking, and then all of a sudden he stands up and he walks off and he's talking to the camera and breaking the fourth wall. Or or like the tracking shots where you're watching him go through a restaurant with his girlfriend and you see him walking through into the tracking shot. Those little things are like, oh, this is pretty neat. Also, the movie starts off in the middle of the movie. Like, it starts off in the middle of the movie, and then it jumps back to the beginning. Like, oh, here I am in life, but you want to know how I got here. Wolf of Wall Street is kind of the same thing. Oh, that's not me. That's me. But how did I get here? So those little things that I think that make the movie really unique and make the movie interesting to watch. But the 2 hour and 20 minute movie pace, like 2 hour 20 minute movie, it just seemed long. And it seemed like there's certain parts of the movie that should have ended, and it didn't, and it kept going. And to me, I was like, man, this is hard to get through. And there's interesting pieces in this movie. The acting is great. There's a scene where Ray Liotta and Karen, who is played by Lorraine Bracco, there's a scene where they are like embracing each other, and they're broken down, and they're like really, like, you can see the emotion on them, and that scene is like powerful. It's a cool scene to watch. And there's other moments of the movie where like characters and actors and actresses are giving 110% and you love it. But I think the problem was that you don't know what you're watching for most of the time. You're thinking like, okay, where's the main bad guy? Where's the main antagonist? Where's the main reason for this movie? Why, what's the story that's going to entice you to like sit through it? Yes, it's cool seeing somebody rise in life and see where they're at, but like, where is it? Like, where is the moments that you're like, okay, this is it. It has hit the fan, lack of a better term, or stuff has hit the fan, and now we're on this roller coaster ride to see if they get out in the end. We really don't get that moment, and when we really do, it's so far into the movie where you're like, what are we doing here, man? Any other thoughts before I jump into the characters and the cast? I feel like that's literally the best part of this movie, and really, I think the pacing of it really was hurt this movie. This movie is 2 hours and 26 minutes, and I feel like you can cut out at least 30 minutes of this movie. And some of the things that happened that Henry Hill, because it's based off a true story of the accounts of Henry Hill, some of the stuff that happens, you could have removed that out of the movie or made the movie more surrounded around a heist scene that gets talked about. If you would have focused more on that in this movie and focused on like that point and then downfall from there, I think it'd been really, really enticing and really good. I understand that like other stuff happens in his life that really cause him to go downhill, but at that point, that was like one of the main changes in it. And I think you could have cut out some part of the beginning of the movie when you talking about young Henry Hill and how he got to where he was, but like how young Henry Hill got invested into it. I think some stuff could have been taken out of there. To be honest, like, this is just my thoughts on it. That would have shortened the movie down just a little bit. And then if you're not going to, if the antagonist in the movie is your main character, it's pretty much his doing caused him to go downhill, then maybe don't set it up in a way where you look at other characters and see like, okay, this is the cause of your downfall. In reality, no, you're the cause of your downfall. It wasn't as strong in this movie like I've seen in Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street, there is no question that Jordan Belfort is the reason why Jordan Belfort went downhill. In this movie, you could have questioned that Henry Hill wasn't the reason why he went downhill. You know, there's pieces of him doing it, but also you could look at Jimmy, who Robert De Niro's character, be like an influence on that, if that makes sense. But speaking of characters, let's go ahead and hop into it. So, Robert De Niro, who plays James Conway, who also goes by Jimmy. De Niro's freaking great. I love De Niro in this movie. I love his acting. I love his pacing. I love the way he moves and shakes his face, or like making little like hints, the things he does that like a normal actor probably wouldn't do. A regular actor probably wouldn't be like, nod your head this way, or tell somebody to go on, versus like, go on in. Like the shove of the hand. Like, those little things that Robert De Niro brings to his table is phenomenal. Ray Liotta as Henry Hill, I thought Ray was okay. I didn't mind him. I was like, oh, this, you know, didn't really get attached to him, I would say that much. I didn't really get attached to him at like his charisma as far as Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. I don't know if I don't think it's Ray Liotta's acting that I didn't get attached to. I think it's just the way the character is written, Henry Hill is written, where for the jump, I just didn't get attached to the character. That's just my opinion on. And then we see him do things where like he's, you know, cheating and he's doing all these other things that like you just can't stand. You're like, dude, okay, you're gonna lose in the end. That's how I felt. Like, I just didn't get attached to Henry Hill as a character. But I think Ray Liotta did a good job acting. Joe Pesci as Tommy DeVito. Pesci, love. Like, his quick temper, his reaction, the way he snaps on people, the way he is written to snap on people, and he delivers it so well. Joe Pesci is great, to the point where I thought the Scorsese is going to make it where Pesci was the villain in this movie. I thought it would be like, you know, Robert De Niro and Ray Liotta versus Joe Pesci. I thought that was going to be like. In reality, no, it wasn't. Lorraine Bracco, who plays Karen Hill, thought she did a good job. She was fine. And then Paul Sorvino, who plays Paul Cicero, thought he did great too. And Paul character, I thought Paul, his first name and his character's name, I thought Paul did a good job of being that father figure where you're like, this is a guy you don't want to disappoint, a guy who has your back no matter what. I thought he did a great job doing that. And that's pretty much the main characters of this movie. Any other thoughts? Music is not really much. Like, you probably forget some of the music score in this movie. Directing, like I already mentioned, Scorsese did a good job with that, with like different camera angles, different tracking shots, different fourth wall breaking. Though he does a good job with all that, and little things where like he has Henry Hill look up at the sky before he even goes off into what he's looking for. Those little hints and tips there that gets tossed into the movie, I think, are great. And just showing it like another thing with this movie, that not everybody can be trusted, that somebody's always out to get you kind of thing when it comes to the mobster world. Those little story beats I thought was cool. I just think it took a little longer for certain stuff to happen. Like, there's an event that happens at the beginning of the movie, you see it happen in the middle of the movie, and then for the resolution of that to really hit the fan, it happens much later into the movie, and you're like, I completely forgot about that scene. Yeah, that happened. I just forgot about it. And now we're just now talking about it? Okay. And it's based on a real life story, so like over the years stuff happens that way, that like no matter what you do, it kind of comes back and bites you in the butt, good or bad or indifferent, it does follow you. Your past will catch up with you. And I don't know, I don't think it was a good idea pacing it that way. Alright. Is this a Friday night movie? Nah, Friday night movie. This movie we watch, I'll say Saturday morning, Saturday day, but not a Friday night movie. You won't like walk away like, oh my gosh, yes. You'd be like, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Alright, grading time. I'm going to grade the movie GoodFellas from 1990 a B-. This movie gets a B- for me for the reasons why is the pacing of the movie I felt like is a little long. It's really felt long. I've seen longer movies. I watched Endgame. I've seen Endgame. I watched all the Star Wars movies. All of them. And this movie being 2 hours and 26 minutes just felt long. It could have been 2 hours. It could have been 2 hour or hour and 50 minutes. But 2 hours and 26 minutes for this movie felt long. I've watched Wolf of Wall Street. Also, the fact there's not really a main antagonist in this movie that you really get like have a reason to be like, okay, I want to see the protagonist come out in the end, and then when you do see the flip of like, oh, this is what brings somebody's downfall, it takes too long for that to really flesh there. Like the world they living in, you're thinking what he's doing, he's going to get away with it because he's a mobster. Like what he's doing in the world of the mobster lifestyle, it's right. So he's not doing anything that will break the mobster code. And then like when the downfall happens, you're like, oh, well, we just took forever to get here. And that's pretty much my two problems with the movie. Other than that, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, I think they all did a great job. The acting in this movie is really good. I do enjoy the acting in this movie. And the directing of certain pacing, or certain, not directing, certain camera angles and certain tracking shots and moments of the movie, I'm like, yes. And there's moments of the movie, I'm like, huh. But it's not a C movie for me, it's a B-. So that's where I'm giving GoodFellas. If you've seen the movie GoodFellas from the year 1990, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, you want to see what else I'm doing in my normal life and other things that's going on, please follow me on Instagram at Ali_Zakka. I'll put it right here around my face. Yep, right there. Also, if you want more episodes of movie breakdowns or grind towards success or whatever it is I'm doing on YouTube, you know what? Follow my page right here, like I said before, the little comment thing right there, And then you can watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns right here, and watch the last episode of Grind Towards Success right there. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all. See y'all next time, and keep being awesome.